Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for doing your best, because it's not 1:30, it is 1:43, 3. But welcome back. We are shifting up our order just a bit, so roll with it. We're going to start out. Come on in and let's get the doors closed. Thank you. We're going to start out with a briefer than planned conversation, but a conversation nonetheless. As much as my speakers generously said, we'll just give people our contact info, I said no. This is a really critical conversation to have, which is after the innovation conversation, the education, we see how much this is about building that awareness and that value, the values in the decision makers of the future and in the innovators of the future and the entrepreneurs of the future. And so I'm very happy to be joined by the preeminent, I would say, education investors in sustainability, because that's what you all have done, is you've invested in integrating sustainability into one of the largest universities in the country. And I'm excited to have a brief but informative conversation with both of you, given your leadership. So with us today, we have Julie Wrigley, who is the president of Wrigley Investments and the Julian Wrigley Foundation, and she is a former executive with the Wrigley Company. And we have Gary Dirks, who is the director of the Global Institute of Sustainability at Arizona State University. And so I'm just going to interview them for a few minutes, and we look forward to you all following up with them in the break later. So with that, Julie, I'm going to start with you because it's the origination story. So here you are, Arizona State. Why Arizona State University, the largest, one of the largest, if not the largest, state universities in the country? Why sustainability? So that origination story, how did this start, that spark?
Well, I have to take you on a little travel story. At about the age of 8, growing up in Southern California, Newport Beach, I was a young environmentalist because I watched the abalone disappear off our rocks, and I watched the visualization of Catalina go away with the air quality, and we're talking 50s and 60s now. And so my educational path took me places, and I had a vision when I went to law school that I could be perhaps the Amy of the mid-70s, and that the corporations would welcome me with open arms to tell them how they could do a better job recognizing that they had this environmental problem, and they needed to be better stewards, to which I went to a large law firm in Denver and did oil and gas financing documents. So the journey was slightly interrupted, and but I got back to it somewhat later in life and had been involved with the Nature Conservancy, the World Wildlife Fund, all brilliant organizations, but didn't really cover how do we train people? How do we create a value system in this country that understood that it wasn't about environmentalism and telling people what they couldn't do, but rather it's about how do we create a new value system around sustainability? And I talked to both universities and different entities, and until I ran into this incredible visionary, Michael Crow, who was just becoming president of Arizona State University, did I find an intellectual and committed equal. And the path had to get rid of the silos. It had to tear down, in this case, university silos, and it had to tear down all the different names that we grew up in a competitive world. Now the world needed to be cooperative. So I helped fund the Global Institute of Sustainability, which, unlike in traditional schools, where it's, again, siloed away, working on a small set of goals, it is and was committed to creating solutions to real-world problems. Its commitment is we have to work collaboratively. We work with partners all over the world. We create a value system for young people so they grow up, and it's all the way down to kindergarten, We need to create a new mental set in this country about how we want to live. And we can't go around telling people what they can't do. We have to go around showing people there are tremendous opportunities. Quickly, within the Institute, we have the nation's first school of sustainability. 100% of our graduates, undergraduate, masters, and PhDs have jobs. So, in a question that was asked recently, how did I go from investing to philanthropy? I still think I'm an investor. I'm investing through my philanthropy, but I stay engaged, much like I do with any investment. I don't walk away. I'm part of the solution.
So Gary, your background, you were head of Asia for BP for years and really have this deep energy background. And then, so all of a sudden there's this Global Institute of Sustainability. Why did Arizona State want to take this on? And how have you seen it evolve? What's worked, what hasn't? And yeah, I guess just tell us a bit about that story and where you are now and where you want to be.
Sure. So in many ways, it's a continuation of where Julie just left off, which is Michael Crow, this very visionary president who was at Columbia University before coming to ASU and was intimately involved in creation of the Earth Institute, was utterly and completely committed to the idea that sustainability is the challenge of the 21st century. And that in order to get this right, we had to have people who really truly understood the ideas of sustainability, they believed in them, and they applied it in everything they did. So the story starts with where Julie says, we've decided to create the Institute, and I would just like to add that it's the Julianne Wrigley Global Institute of Sustainability. So when Julie talks about staying involved, she is. And we're tremendously lucky to have her. So at this point then, the president basically comes out and says, at our university, sustainability is a value. And that means every part of the university, every school, every college, every service function, every bit of the university is going to have sustainability objectives as part of their core mission. We're going to embed it in everything. Then, with the idea of creating the school, which happened a couple of years later, and Julie just mentioned, we added that, but if you want to treat sustainability as a discipline, if you want to get a degree in sustainability, then we're going to give you a school where you can go and just simply study sustainability. And that's what we now have in the Institute, this combination of a research capability that's in the Institute, but then we also have the teaching function of the school. I'm very pleased to say that the school's enrollment continues to grow. We have over 500 undergraduates studying sustainability. As Julie indicated, part of the reason it's growing is because A, companies and agencies, government agencies, really like these students, and B, they get really good job offers. So we get all of our students enrolled. But another point of pride for us is that comparable size in the business school and in the engineering school, we have, again, on the order of 500 students taking minors in sustainability. And again, employers find these students very attractive. So that's basically how we kind of got into it. What I am pleased by in being able to work at ASU and lead this institute is just how completely the faculty and staff have embraced the idea that this is going to be a signature characteristic of Arizona State University. Our students are going to be trained in transdisciplinarity. They're going to understand complexity and the complexity of the environment, complexity of social justice, and complexity of human development. And they're going to have the ability to bring that kind of understanding, that transdisciplinarity and complexity, to whoever they end up working for in the future.
We talked about the importance of not just understanding resilience as a discipline and the models and technologies and issues that we've been talking about here, but also creating more resilient workers, executives, engineers going forward. who can think in new ways. Can you just speak briefly to that? And then I'd love to hear about kind of the future, what you want to see next.
Sure. Well, I think what you're seeing, and as Amy indicated, I spent 34 years with British Petroleum and retired as a group vice president and president of Asia Pacific. So I've kind of been watching the way the world has evolved, and the business world in particular has evolved its thinking on sustainability. And without a doubt, we're turning the corner. Even these enormous big enterprises, and as surprising as it may sound to this crowd, even the oil industry has figured out that the future is about sustainability. Now that means that they need people who not only understand these concepts, but they need people who can be internal change makers, the people that are going to drive transformation inside of their organization. So now you need not only highly skilled people that understand the subject, but people that understand you're going to be on the firing line of some tough stuff inside of your companies as your companies are figuring out how to make this transition. And so a big part of the education process is helping them be adaptive leaders, being able to move with where the company needs to go.
The other thing that I would add that was critical in the organization was that we recognize partnerships, and all of you in this room, we look forward to working with you, helping what we do best add to your set of values. And we have partnerships with other universities. We have partnerships with some of the world's leading environmental organizations. We have partnerships with small companies and large companies. And our role is to help make it better. Because without us, number one, educating, number two, getting the message across, and number three, partnering on looking at and for these solutions, none of us are going to achieve what we want to achieve.
So Gary, one last, you all have education from undergraduate through the School of Sustainability, so you have master's, minors, undergraduate degrees, masters, as well as you've been integrating it into the MBA program, but then you also have an executive program, and then you have a global consortium of universities you're collaborating with, so that's my last.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So we offer bachelor's of several varieties, master's, PhD in sustainability, PhD in sustainable energy, and then we offer undergraduate completely online, and we offer a master's of sustainability leadership completely online. And all of that is in place. Now, what we've been working on for the last couple of years is something we call the Global Consortium for Sustainability Outcomes. And it actually, in many ways, resonates with what you just heard from Astrid about how do you create solutions and get them to where they are needed. So the consortium at this point is 10 universities from around the world, at this point mostly in North America and Europe. They have agreed to collaborate on solutions, not on publishing papers, but on solutions. So they come to the party with ideas about how we can solve sustainability problems and with partners that they can work with. We've launched that about 18 months ago. We're working on 3 program areas right now. It's a membership organization, so each university pays $50,000 to join, and then all that money goes back supporting projects. We're just getting all of the universities to re-up now, and so far so good, and we're recruiting the next 10. The idea is to ultimately get to between 40 and 50 universities that pretty much blanket the globe, and then has the capacity to be developing students engaged in sustainability solutions, but also with local communities and local governments.
Thank you. Do you have one final word? Otherwise, I'm going to close this out. Try to take a little of my own medicine.
Thank you.
Thank you
for putting together something so marvelous. And we have, I know she doesn't need to be told this, but we have to grow it. There are so many people who believe in what we're doing and are passionate about it. And if you have a passion, you will achieve the outcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.